Call the meeting to order August 24th. Janelle, please take the roll.
Councilmember Barker. Here. Councilmember Brown. Here. Councilmember Lowell. Here. Councilmember Michelson.
Here.
And Mayor Dixon.
Here. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comment? It's not on the agenda. Chief Sosa.
I'll make it brief. Max Sosa, Chief of Police, Stevensville, Montana. Mr. Mayor, Council, I'd like to make some comments concerning discussion that was made at the last meeting. Concerning Lewis and Clark Park, some comments were made during the discussion concerning the library being placed at the park. I want to make it clear, I don't have a dog in that race, but I do when it comes to safety at the park, safety in town, or crime in town. I wanted to address this appropriately and perform research in order to do so. During calendar year 2021, there were 86 calls for service recorded by the Ravalli County Sheriff's Dispatch Center, which records calls for service that both Stevensville Police and the Sheriff's Office respond to. Of those 86 calls, 59 were for extra patrol. Extra patrol means that officers are just checking the area. That means no crime occurred, they're just in the area. So realistically, there were 27 calls for service at the park made by citizens. Those calls could be for information or other law enforcement need. Of all those calls that were crime related, 9 were for ordinance violations, meaning that people were in the park after hours. 3 were for criminal mischief that was done to the bathrooms. 1 was for disorderly conduct for a kid that was caught riding a bike in the skate park. 1 was for partner family violence that occurred prior to arriving at the park. 1 was for an assault where the parties had gone before the officers arrived. 1 call was where a female was driven home. She asked someone for a ride, and on the way home, an inappropriate advance was made towards her, but that was away from the park. During calendar year 2022, there were 49 calls for service. 24 of those calls were for extra patrol. So realistically, 25 calls for service at the park. Again, those could be for information or other law enforcement needs. Of those that were crime related, 1 was for drug use for an individual that has since been dealt with, and we've seen a reduction in drugs at the park. We've actually been told by kids that they're taking that stuff into the county. 1 call was for criminal mischief done to the bathrooms, 1 for a littering complaint around the skate park, 2 for disorderly conducts. 1 was a kid on a bike at the skate park. 1 with a female recording kids at the skate park. 1 was for an assault involving an altercation between kids at the skate park. 1 was a minor in possession of alcohol, and 1 was for fireworks. During 2023, with 3/4 of the year gone, there have been 20 calls for service recorded. 11 of those were for extra patrol. So realistically, in this calendar year, 9 calls for service at the park. Of those that were crime related, 2 were for thefts. 1 was for a cell phone that was lost and later recovered, that was lost by the porta potties over at the Creamery Picnic. Another was for a camera that was mislaid at the park. 1 was for a 911 open line, which was for a pocket dial with somebody playing pickleball over at the park. 1 was for an abandoned vehicle for a car that was left at the park overnight. And 2 were suspicious person calls. 1 was for a child that was alone at the park. The other was for a person sleeping in their car at the park. So you see, both statistics for calls and crime have decreased each year. Children play at the park. They play at the splash pad. Citizens go to the pool. People play pickleball. People play frisbee with their dogs. People play can jam. ultimate frisbee, football. We hold events at the park. When I first got here, I spoke about real fear and perceived fear. Let's not try to create fear by saying that the park's not safe when statistics don't reflect it. I can also assure you that we go through the park, we make contact with people at the park, both boys, girls, men and women. We interact with the skateboarders at the park. No one has brought to our attention the issues that were discussed previously. And what I can additionally say, if any child, any teenager goes to an adult with an issue, indicating that they were made to feel uncomfortable or that a crime occurred, that adult should be coming to us because we have a means of correcting it. Allow us to do our job. But if that's not communicated, then how can we? So when I first got here and I knocked on doors, people told me that they wanted visibility and they wanted accessibility. And that's what we provided them. And that has allowed us to do old-fashioned police work, drive through the streets, drive through the alleys, and lower our crime rates. So the statistics do not reflect what was said before. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Any other public comments on anything not on the agenda?
So I'm Tanya here. So as far as like homeschool kids, I can tell you that a lot of homeschool kids do use that park. And the area that we're talking about at Lewis and Clark Park, Lewis and Clark Park, that gets used a lot by homeschool kids for running, for people with dogs, people just wanting to get out and walk. You see a lot of people during the day walking that. My kids have always walked that. I've still got a 9-year-old that walks that and runs that back and forth fence to fence. So where else are we supposed to? And the other night, as I was driving around, there are still small teams like football and stuff like that that use our parks to play. Where are they supposed to go if we take that open space away? Let's not take open space away from our kids. That's the last thing we need to do. The library has got a building that they can remodel. If they have to take everything out, completely remodel like any other business would have to do. And if they want outdoors, go up, use the roof. So that is my.
Thank you. Any other public comment not on the agenda? Okay, we'll go to approval of minutes, 8/10/2023. Councilmember Michaels.
I make a motion to approve town council meeting minutes of August 10th, 2023.
Councilmember Barton.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on the minutes? Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell.
Aye.
Councilmember Michelson.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Approval of biweekly claims. You'll see the numbers today. Some late ones came in, so 18,551 through 18,560. And I think those were mostly from Mr. Cruz, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Michelson.
I make a motion to approve claims number 18523 through 18531, 18533 to 18535 through 18, at the very end that are added, 18560.
Okay.
I'll second.
Councilmember Lowell, seconded. Any public comment on the claims? Any discussion from the council? Councilmember Michelson.
Yeah, I have one here on page 3 of 11. It's the Home Depot membership for Melanie. May I ask what that's about for $200?
It was a membership for her, getting some training in, banking and, bookkeeper.
She's doing training online.
Oh, okay. She got the app through Home Depot then? Oh, that's just a different.
It's that, it was just where it is, it's just, it's right below that, the National Association of
Oh,
Certified
okay.
Bookkeeping.
I have read it wrong.
Yeah,
Well,
that's okay.
Okay. Any others? Councilmember Barton?
This is under claim number 18523, under concrete cutting tool for pool. I see that it's coming out of the Jean Thomas Fund. My question is when at the last meeting we were asked, Gina, to find out how much was left in that fund, because it seems like they keep depleting it, and before long, there's nothing gonna be left in there for things
No,
that.
it's the same amount that you approved for the 10,000. There's a mistake. There's still 10,000 left in the Jean Thomas.
Yeah, Robert made some changes before we left, but there was a resolution passed, I can't remember how long ago it was, that you guys decided to take that money for the Jean Thomas, I think it was $10,000. And that money was put in there.
Correct, but part of it was, we looked for a grant for that as well through the RAP Foundation, so that it would lessen the amount that was taken out of there.
No, it's actually more. The actual repairs ended up being about 27,000, I believe. Components were used, but the only funds for the Jean Thomas is what was approved, $10,000.
Okay. Well,
Councilmember Mike, oh, I'm sorry, did you have
it
another?
just seems like we just keep using and using. I do have some other questions as well. We have GoDaddy on here. I thought we were supposed to be doing away with GoDaddy. It was gonna be gone. We have an interest and late fee for $241.40. Why is there a late fee? And
So
what is
that was the Latch credit card bill, is that the one for the Rocky Mountain Visa? Or
It just says GoDaddy CC, or I don't know.
what's the claim number again, I'm sorry?
I mean, it's really hard to read
They are
the
kind of
numbers.
There is no way
It's on page 3. It says interest and late fee.
Okay. So is it in the middle? That's gotta be, that is not for GoDaddy. That is actually for the Rocky Mountain. This is the claim. So the claim right here, that 18523 is the Visa payment. And that was the last one that I had to get caught up on, before we will not see any more late fees or interest fees on that. So,
These are just, I mean, it's really hard to read them. It really is.
yeah.
And I know you're doing a great job, but it's very difficult to figure out what
Yeah.
goes to what.
So, I know, it's kind of weird, but if you look at the, anything that has the CC on it, that means it's a credit card claim. So all of those belong, the CC all belongs to the, claim 18523, and that's the Visa Rocky Mountain.
Okay.
And then the very next one you'll see below that, is, well, actually GoDaddy was part of that credit card claim, okay? And then we have and if you look all the way on page 4, it will give you it gives you the total. Let's see, all of the things that are on that credit card bill. Let's see, yes. 7,389.73. It's actually, the amount shows at the top of the claim instead of the very back, which is kind of weird. It's kind of weird how that shows up, but I can't help how the system prints that out. But what makes up that 7,389.73 are all of the ones, if you look right here in the middle, this says, this means this is all one claim. So these are different than the other claims that you see on here that don't have anything in the middle. Does that make sense? So right here, okay. But we are finally caught up on all the credit card stuff.
Councilmember Barton.
So is that the reason, okay, for claim number 18535, Meadow Land Holdings, which I know was previously Remote Advance. I see a couple different ones on the claims.
The Maddox Holding is the remote advance one. I just received, there were some questions on the contract, and so we actually have sent the contract over to Greg Overstreet. That's why there's 2 months, this will be the last 2 months of the rent for the PD. And it's not, because they sold, remote advance does not own it anymore, so that's why it's Maddox Holding. And
These
the
are the
two-
last 2 lease payments.
Yeah, these
We're
are
out
the
of there
last
on
2 lease
pretty
payments
sure.
for that.
I just happened to see it on there twice, that's why I was kind of questioning.
So yes, one says July and the other one says August. So if you look at that Maddox Holding, there's 2 charges for $1,000 each. And one was for the month of July and then this month, August.
I thought it was another claim number I saw on them, and there was 2 claim numbers with it. 2 different claim numbers with the same dollar amount, that's what it is.
Here it is, 18550.
Excuse me, one is for July, one is for August.
I know, it says it right there for July
And
and
then one is
August, but
sold
there
the
was another
property,
one.
that's why it's a new.
1,850.
There was that one, there was a-
Oh, you're right. There
It's
are
18550 and 18535.
Yes, you're right. Sorry about that. I'll make sure that I delete that claim.
Thank
So
you.
I'll delete claim 1855.
There it is, I knew it was one of the claims.
Any other, Councilmember Michaels?
Yes, on page 5 of 20, it's just an informational question on the HDR engineering, the invoice, preliminary design of water main replacements project. Water main replacement projects have been submitted to NDEQ for review's approval. Where is this at, this water main replacement at?
Where we're at is we had a phone call with them this week. They're almost finished the design phase. They've actually started some work. We hope to have the bids out by maybe end of August, September. The good news is on the ARPA grant to fix the leaks, it could also include some repaving such as Mission Street and Pine Street. So it's all coming out of the ARPA grant, and it's for their design, putting together the bids, et cetera.
Okay.
Councilmember Brown?
So is that the same with the claim 18527 for HDR, also for
Yes, there
24?
were two claims that came through, and, one was for the 26,000, and the other one was for the 18. And, we were kind of waiting on the 26,000. I wanted to talk to HDR. It took us a little bit of time to kind of get with them on that. And then I'm also working with the people who are doing the grant on how we submit those claims to them so that they can track. So all of the claims that come into us, I'll be working with the state, Lindsay on the, and then I give them all of the information on all the claims that we'll be going through. And so we were working really closely together on that. So before I process that, before the last council, that 26,000 came in, that next day after the council. So that's why they're both together on this one.
There's like, between the match and whatever, I think it's close to, it's over 1.4 million. And in the original thing, there was a set aside with HDR to do that work. Any others? Seeing none, Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell,
Aye.
Councilmember Michelson.
Aye.
Okay, it passes 4-0. We'll go to new business. Discussion decision, selection of new HR and payroll vendor for the town of Stevensville. I'll let you ask, we need a motion. Councilmember Lowell.
I'd like to make a motion to allow Gina to purchase the new vendor.
Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Michaels.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and as you can see in your packet, and again, if you have questions of Gina, there were 3 quotes. It's a service. Is there any public comment on this issue? Seeing none, Any,
I have one.
Councilman Michael?
On this new program, you're gonna get, it said, what, 15 employees? So, at that amount, so let's say you get more employees or less employees, does the cost go up and down, or does it stay the same across?
There's a, I think it's, actually, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but there is it could be like an increase of like $5 an employee per month, which is pretty minimal, I believe. But it's such a great program as far as, and it's a total, it's more than just payroll. It's an HR, it's an employee portal, online portal, where our files will be stored online for the employees. It's safe, it's secure. I mean, if something happens to the building here, we've lost all of our employee files. And so that's one of the things that, you know, I like about it. Plus, processing payroll is very simple through that. Processing payroll through here takes hours. It's very cumbersome and very, very long. And there's always something that comes up with it. There's an issue. And so a lot more than just the payroll aspect of it. I mean, they process your W-2s, they process your taxes, they process your quarterlies, which is all really great and takes that heat off of us making any kind of mistakes, because it's very simple to make a mistake in Black Mountain for anything. And if you make a mistake on your taxes, then you get penalized, right? If they catch you on the road and they say, okay, now you didn't pay us $500, now you're gonna pay fines and penalties on top of that. So it just kind of takes away that portion of it, because I've used NetChecks for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years now. And it's a really, really simple, easy program to use. And like right now, if something happened to me, if somebody came in and was able, they could sit right down and be able to do the payroll very simply. They could look up the files right there. It's safe, it's secure, you can do onboarding, it does benefits through there. The employees will pick their own deductions out of their, like federal and state. They will also pick their benefits on there. It's a seamless process. Right now, everything is manual. Like I have to go in. What do you want taken out of your state? What do you want taken out of federal? And if I make a mistake, then that's on the town, right? So I try to keep things more secure and safe for the employees here.
What Gina, I mean, she's done a great job with this, in a short amount of time. As far as increasing number of employees, when we get to the budget, it's gonna be tight, there won't be any more new employees. Actually, now as lifeguards leave, it's
Yeah.
probably less.
11 people less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Councilman Martin?
So I see that Mountain has price effective July 1st, 2023. Are we locked into them yet, or is there a way that obviously we're past July, so now we're paying them already?
Right, so
Are we able to get a reimbursement on some of that? Or?
I'm working on that. Normally they say it's for a year, so I don't technically see us going live with NetChecks until December or January, probably more like January. Just because there's a lot of work to do to get things set up. So yeah, there would be some overlap. I think so, if they didn't give us, if they didn't prorate that amount. So yeah, there would be some overlap.
Make sure we're budgeted for it.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Janelle, please take the vote. Is there any other questions? On,
Okay, we're going with net check then.
okay. Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown? Aye. Councilmember Lowell?
Aye.
And Councilor Michelson?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Resolution 521, a resolution establishing mill levies for fiscal year 23-24. Need a motion? Councilor Michelson.
Make a motion to approve resolution 521, a resolution establishing mill levies for the fiscal year 23-24.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Lowell, second. Just to give you a brief overview of what this all means. Last year, it was $344,476. This year is $356,130. And the mills actually went down. I know you've read about Missoula, a 10% increase. Hamilton did a thing. Bozeman's doing a thing on top of this, setting out a $500 special assessment on top of the taxes. This is not a time to raise taxes. If you do the math on an average, this is an increase of 0.97%. We took what we got. With that, is there any public comment on the mills, the levies? Any other discussion on the levies? Councilmember Michelson?
I just had one, it has to go with last year. It says this year that we're putting it all into the general fund, where last year it said we were putting it in the general fund, and right below it, as you see, it says we were putting it credited into the capital improvement.
Correct. Robert, and we found that as an incorrect entry
Okay.
on resolution, and so we fixed that for this year's.
Okay.
Yes, we went back and did a little research as to why there was a few years in a row that it read that way. And so we did some research and we found out that that cannot also be reading on there. Capital improvement can't come out of your general fund in that sense, so.
That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Lowell,
Aye.
and Councilmember Michelson.
Passes 4-0. C, discussion decision letter to Montana Department of Transportation from the mayor's office, council members, and chief of police. You just want to make a motion, and I'll discuss what we're really talking about here. Councilmember Michelson.
I make a motion to draft a letter to the Montana Department of Transportation from the mayor's office, council members, and the chief of police regarding the traffic concerns of Stevensville.
Is there a second? Councilmember Barker.
Second the motion.
I thought I met with a regional person a year ago. And there were a couple other people that gave us like a half hour. We talked about, there's a real concern on 2nd and Main. There's been an increase, I believe, in traffic accidents. Has there been on the streets?
There has been,
There's a real concern with East Side Highway at Main. So I thought it would be beneficial for all of us to write the letter to the Director of the Department of Transportation. And I will be calling him before we do that. You will see a draft of the letter, if you agree, to get some movement here. That's basically what it is. So with that, is there any public comment? I know I've had a lot of complaints from citizens. I see it every day. I've even had complaints from people that work at Senate's. If you sit there and watch that, it's a nightmare waiting to happen. Even just with a 4-way stop here, and I'm not a traffic engineer, but it would slow down that issue too at East Side Highway in Maine. Because the traffic comes through, backs up from both ways, but it's becoming really bad out here. So that's basically what it is. Councilmember.
Can I just say, even sitting, just waiting to come across tonight, you can tell that they're not even stopping at the 4-way stop up there, because there's like boom, 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 traffic by each other. So maybe that will also decrease that and make people more aware. People are already stopping. And I think that's what's causing some of the problems too, people that are, I think, probably out of state that don't realize it's not a 4-way stop like the one on the other corner.
Okay. Any other discussion? And again, we will draft the letter. You'll all see it before we send it, so we can all sign it. Okay? Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell,
Aye.
and Councilmember Michelson.
Passes 4-0. There are no board reports, I don't believe. Town council comments. Seeing none. No town council comments. We've already had it. I'll allow it, but we're
I
out.
just have a real quick question. I was gonna ask after Stacy. Did we get the community foundation grant for the pool?
I believe that was one of them. We'd have to backtrack. All that happened in the midst of things changing, but
Okay,
we can look it up together. The community.
I think they gave 5,000
I
something.
believe that was
for the
one of the
repair.
others, that was that, the RAP, and then Gene Thomas funds that all.
sorry, I didn't mean to get guys
No, you're
off, but
fine.
I wanted
You're
to
fine.
make sure that
You're
we
fine.
got that.
And that's why too, we're having some issues with showing in the budget actually where these funds came from, and it's showing up, some of them are coming out of general fund, when they're actually not. So that Robert has some personal things, he's out of state. We hope to get this moving along real soon. But again, there's a lot of things that, as Gina has found.
One of the things is that sometimes we'll just see deposits made in the bank, and we don't know what it's for. And so we have to kind of track it down. So, this week I found there's a couple of people that I can call to find out, okay, we got this money, it's not part of our money, what is this money for? And so, I've got a couple of contacts that I can work with on finding those things out, so.
Okay, executive report, if it's okay with Mac. Your date. Mac will be leaving on the 14th of September. I've talked to Mac briefly, what our intent is. We plan on moving over here next week. Correct, Mac?
That's correct.
So sometime before that 14th date, we'll publish in the paper. We'll have a tour of a grand opening or whatever, of the new police station, and we'll also have a get-together for Mac.
And thank you for everything you've done while you've been here. It's been most appreciated by a lot of people.
Amen.
Thank you, Matt.
I get to do that.
How are you?